reminder, in fact.
Good evening. You're welcome to Ben Television. My name is Kayode Ogundamisi, and we're broadcasting live from London. It's Politics with KO, but first I keep forgetting to say this. I want to thank Alistair Shoyede, who's giving us this opportunity. I mean, quality time, 1 hour for Nigerians in diaspora and friends of Nigeria to just talk about issues around the world, and friends of Africa too. And then there's a young chap called Victor who does quite a number of artwork, combining with Tony. Tonight is a special night because we're going to have live in the studio Honorable Teejay Yusuf, who is the Deputy Chair of House Committee on ICT, a Nigerian lawmaker. And then I would have him engage in a certain way with Senator Babafemi Ojudu. We had a recording in Nigeria, and I would want the PDP-APC debate in a very unique way. And then we have our guys on Twitter going on, waiting for this to happen. This is our chance, and thanks to you, it's going to happen tonight. But first, we still have our own Ngozi Gale, and Ngozi will tell us what's happening around the world, especially what's happening to Nigerians and friends of Nigeria and friends of Africa in the UK. Ngozi, it's good to see you again.
Thank you, Kayode. Yes, I don't really have a lot of news to give you, except the fact that Mary Coyne, the girl who poured acid on her friend's face, Naomi Oni, has finally been found guilty of that attack. The attack happened, of course, as you know, on the 29th of December in 2012, and in Dagenham. And she's been found guilty because it was said that she followed the victim home whilst veiled to disguise her identity. And she also made claims like the victim, Naomi Oni, wanted to find fame and have people feel sympathetic to her, which is really silly. But however, she's now been found guilty on that. And of course, that followed the fact that Naomi Oni herself called her called her an ugly monster. And so she was jealous of her beauty and so poured acid on her. It's really convoluted. But the point of the news is that she has been found guilty now. And so what follows, apart from her sentencing, of course, is that the victim's life is changed drastically. So we pray for the best for her. Moving on, Lagos State has now banned smoking in public places.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason I'm saying this one is because a lot of people on Twitter have been telling me that they don't think this ban is going to be upheld because apparently, as we know, Nigeria has banned smoking in public places a while back, but it's not been really adhered to that much. So now the governor, Fashola, is now saying that he's banning it completely.
Actually, that's one good thing that is happening from Lagos, apart from the nonsense so-called anti-gay.
That's what lots of people are saying.
The so-called anti-gay legislation, and I'm going to have the lawmaker talk about that, why they believe very important issues to talk about gays and homosexuals. Kudos to the Lagos State government. And I think this is the time you can go to Nigeria, go into a club, and you're not going to be shocked to death with smoking.
Yeah, or come out smelling of it.
Exactly.
You know, so, especially our hair and everything.
Exactly. So it's a good move from the government.
Apparently, it's also it's one of the series of measures that have been introduced in order to clean up the city. So, you know, under the governor's guidance. So we'll wait to see what that's going to be like. But what I'd like you guys to do is to tweet me. My Twitter handle is @GailNgozi, and tell me what you think about these two things that I've just talked about, especially the ban on smoking in public places in Lagos. Do you think this is something that's going to hold? And besides, why not? If it can be done here and other parts of the world, why not in Nigeria as well? So tweet us, let us know what you think about that. I'll leave it at that because tonight's topic with Kayode, as a matter of fact, somebody has said something like that Nigerian government, the APC, the PDP, and what have you, is like playing chess that's badly strategized with amateurs. Not my words. Somebody else said it.
Yeah, we actually don't know the difference between APC and PDP anymore. And talking about that smoke ban, still, even as we commend Fashola, please, can you stop just fixing areas in Victoria Island where the rich people are? Can you just move to where the poor people are living so that we know that you're not just a governor for the rich, but a governor for the rich and the poor? Well, thank you, Ngozi. It's good to always have you here.
Thank you.
And then we'll see you next Thursday. So we're going to take a short break. Don't go away. We're going to have Honorable Teejay Yusuf in the studio, and then we're going to link up with Senator Babafemi Ojudu, the interview we had with him in Nigeria, and then we'll have a debate rolling. This is your program, Politics with KO.
transfers around the world to bring you closer to the ones you love. MoneyGram, bringing you closer.
Okay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere.
You're welcome back to Ben Television. I'm quite smart of my producer, always making sure people catch me unawares. But yeah, it's your program, Politics with KO. And tonight I have got in the studio Honorable Teejay Yusuf. He's the Deputy Chairman, House Committee on ICT. And he's the lawmaker in Nigeria representing Kababunu Jumu Federal Constituency. And Honorable Yusuf is actually someone who was a student activist, then he went into politics, then he defeated, guess who? Dino Melaye. Dino Melaye is a controversial Nigerian lawmaker who introduced or got involved in the Muhammad Ali versus Cassius Clay battle in the legislative arm of office. Now, the lawmaker you're going to see here was the one who replaced Dino Melaye, contested against Melaye in the PDP primaries and then in the general election, and he won. And then I'm going to take you to Nigeria, where we're going to have a clip of an interview we have with Senator Babafemi Ojudu. Senator Ojudu is a federal senator representing Ekiti in the federal upper house lawmaking organ in Nigeria. So, without much ado, Honorable Teejay Yusuf, you're welcome to Ben TV.
Thank you. Okay. It's my pleasure.
So my first question is, from activism to the federal house, tell us the difference.
The difference, activism, you do not need much politics.
Okay.
All you need in activism is being yourself. The students, the privilege of being a student activist, the students are a bit more conscientized. But in politics, at times you are trying to help people who do not even know their right from their wrong. So the students are easily mobilized to challenge wrongs in the society. That was then. Not sincerely, I can't say we had those kind of thing in Nigerian university again. But those days, to the privilege, when you were too involved, we used to have a platform that was robust, well-informed. In fact, you do not bring things that are not pro people to the platform because you are dealing with people who are highly conscientized. So I think that's the difference. Now it now requires you going down explaining to the people the reason for them to challenge the wrongs in society.
Okay, let me ask you this. How did you get about going to displace or defeat Dino Melaye, who is more of an institution in Kogi State?
Okay, how did I defeat him? I discovered that there was need for people like us, some of us, to stop being armchair critics.
Okay.
There's need, if we really desire change, if we want change in Nigeria, that we must not assume that it is possible for people to give what they don't have. So you cannot become a champion, heavyweight champion, without going into the ring. So I've been on TV, articulate position and what have you, and I discovered that it's not going to change anything. So I went into the election. Fortunately for me, the people saw the sincerity and genuineness of my aspiration. So we went to primary from my own local government, from my town. 10 of us contested. From his own local government, only him ran the primary. God gave us victory. I must not pretend I'm not the most intelligent. I'm not the boy. It pleases God to say it is time for you to.
That is one thing with Nigerian politicians. You all ascribe everything to God. God did not take part in that primaries, did he?
He rules in the affair of men.
So you hold every
He rules in the affair of men. Before today, he knew about it.
Okay, now let's go into, you were a student activist. We all know politics is expensive in Nigeria. How did you just come from a student activist into going into politics? You must have spent millions of naira to get to where you are. Where did the money come from?
I did not just come to student activist. I left school almost 12, 13, 14 years. Okay. Running to 14, 15 years before I contested the election. So I was into private practice. I run an estate firm. I'll be doing a lot of the glory of God, like I said. And one thing again is that if you are fortunate to strike the right chord and go at the right time, you might not spend as expected, because I didn't have the resources to match the incumbent.
Which was doing on my life.
But the people, I was able to start my campaign about 2.5 years before the election. I was going regularly, reaching out, doing programs, pro-people program. Just the same template you were using on campus. So what I'm trying to say is that what gave me the edge was not because I was more, I had more resources or what, but the people could see that, come, there's something genuine about this, man.
Okay, I also spoke with Senator Babafemi Ojudu, who is more or less like a senior. I know lawmakers in the House of Reps don't like us using that term, but in the upper legislative arm. And I'm going to have you watch Senator Ojudu, who is in the other political party, the opposing party to your party. And I want you to comment. We'll take it in 2 parts. The first 12 minutes of the interview I had with him in Nigeria. And we want our viewers to watch this interview so that we can have the lawmaker in the studio react to it. And then we want you to tweet in, and we'll let the phone calls open as soon as we get back. Just hold on and watch Senator Babafemi Ojudu's interview in Nigeria. From journalism, being a media manager, to the Senate, what's the difference?
Well, it's a lot of difference. You know, as a journalist, you are outside. As a politician, you are now inside. Sometimes, as a journalist, I thought I knew all about the country. But I think I have a better insight now into why things are the way they are, why things are not, falling in place in Nigeria. And for me, it's been very enriching. If I had died as a journalist and I didn't have this experience, it would have been a big loss for me.
Do you feel sometimes frustrated when you're in the Senate that things are not going the way you think?
Yes, of course, because I see that there are problems. Actually, if we put our minds to it, that could be solved, but we are not putting our mind to it sufficiently. And that, for me, is frustrating. Or we are not seeing it the way we should see it as people who are elected to solve problems. Yeah.
And if I would ask you, when you're in the Senate and you look at yourself as a senator, you look back to those days during the Abacha regime, do you think this is the democracy people actually fought for?
Well, it is not. It is not. Certainly it is not. Again, it's our fault because we didn't get our strategy and practice right when Abacha died. We are not turning our back on elective office at that period of time. We probably wouldn't be where we are today. It was too late for us to realize that we have to participate. By the time we got in, the interests have been entrenched.
So you think those who fought for democracy should have gone into politics earlier?
Of course. If Beko had gone into elective office, if Beko were the president of the Senate in 1999, or something like that, or just a member of the House of Representatives, or a member of the Senate, or Agbakoba had been there, Falana had been governor in this state, or had gone to the Senate, things wouldn't have been the way they are today. All of us across the country, we had decided that we were going to be part of it.
But the argument is that you've had a lot of activists going into the Senate, yourself, Okoyemi Bamidele, Ushe, I can name several. But no one has stopped receiving the jumbo pay.
Well, it's not. You see, people put a lot of emphasis on this jumbo pay. It is not about the pay. When they talk about the pay, and I look at my colleagues, what they suffer from. Honestly, I'm not joking now. And the kind of demands put on them, and I've said this in several occasions. There is a misconception of what the role of a lawmaker is in a society. And that is what Nigeria is paying for. If a lawmaker is not just seen as somebody elected to go and make law, there will be no end to how much you have to pay that lawmaker. If a lawmaker is seen as not different from the executive, who must execute projects, provide water, provide road, buy transformer, pay for the medical bills of his constituents, pay for their education, pay for
assist in building their homes, then there will be no end.
So what you're trying to say is that as a senator,
Yes.
you've got pressure from people making demands.
The
that
pressure is massive, it's enormous, and it is killing. It is killing, I'm telling you. Many were afraid when we were leaving and closing for the year to even say they are going back home.
Why?
Because they cannot even muster enough resources, to buy those things they are going to buy for people at Christmas. Some just, bought for people during the Eid. That's the Muslim festival, and it's a lot of money. Some will tell you, I'm buying 2 trailer loads of rice to give to my constituents. I'm buying this number of cows. I'm buying this number of turkey. I'm buying these cartons of wine. Where is the money coming from? Nobody is budgeting for that. But it is from this so-called jumbo pay that they have to make that available. At the end of the day, I tell you, little is left for them. Look, any senator who is going home on the weekend, and particularly for those who go home regularly, it's also a burden. You cannot say you are going to your constituency on a weekend, that is leaving on Friday, to return to Abuja either on Sunday or Monday morning. If you don't have at least 1 million naira, you cannot dare go home.
So what can we do to stop this rental system?
And I'm saying this, and I've told some of my colleagues who care to listen, come. We are just living the Yoruba proverb that says that Olowo kan láàrin igba otoshi is otoshi. That is, one rich man in the midst of 200 poor persons is also a poor man. People will come to you because you are the only one who can afford to solve their problem. Can we stop a bit and see if it is possible for us to live better ourselves by looking at the problems confronting society? Solve these problems at macro level, not at micro. The person you give money to go and eat today, who's unemployed, will come back again to you tomorrow. That you gave him money yesterday and not being able to give today will not make him like you. But suppose you work out a scheme of making sure that people are employed, they can work and they pay and feed themselves. That makes you a friend to that person forever. So let us look at the problem. Let us sit down, put our thinking caps on, and solve this problem. Problem of unemployment, problem of lack of infrastructure, medical facilities, education facilities. Let our people live a better life, that they will even have the self-dignity of not wanting to come to you to beg for money. In the past, an Ekitiman will not come to you to beg for money. Yeah. If you are eating and they come in and you ask them, they will not eat. They think that it is not right for you to look beggarly to your neighbor. But now, all of those is gone.
So what do you do with your own constituency allowance?
The thing is that nobody pays me constituency allowance. And I keep telling you.
So how about the 80 million a year, 100 million?
No, it's not true. People don't know the difference between what you earn, what is your running cost, and those things they call constituency projects. For constituency project, you are not given cash. You nominate a project, and it's done in other parts of the world. A senator in America can say, look, I want a military base in my constituency. Believing that if there is a military base, it will provide employment for the other community. Here, you are qualified as a senator annually to nominate a budget, a project that will be written into the budget. And then that will be domiciled in a federal government ministry. And they then have the responsibility of going there to execute. They advertise the bid, they open the bid, they choose the best person, in their own opinion, who they think is qualified to execute the project. It now beholds on you, as a senator representing that constituency, to ensure that that project is not abandoned, that they execute the project. Okay, for your senatorial district, yes, how have they been able to benefit from the constituency? We have done well in the sense that, look, I'm not interested in which contractor you are. The thing is that get this thing done. Last year, I said, look, okay, there are rural areas in my constituency. They needed water. They go to the brooks to go and fetch water. Do borehole. I executed 57 boreholes, And even when a few of them were not working, I wrote a letter to the Senate President. I wrote to the woman in charge of MDG. I said, look, some of the contractors have done good job. Please recall them to site. And then did an advert on local radio. Leave the name of the contractors, their telephone number. I said any community where the job is not well done, they should start calling those contractors. So for me, that was it. In this year now, MDG project, I'm doing 3 town halls, community centers in Igbemo Ekiti, in Okemesi and Ikoro. That is one. Then at the level of the one that is written into the budget, which, it's about 250 million per senator. Nobody gives you money. Again, it's domiciled. Last year, we domiciled our own in a Greek ministry. We want to irrigate 1,000 hectares of land. When you irrigate it, we pass it out to young farmers and ensure that they produce things that can be bought from them and so that they can live a better life. So we were not even comfortable that the money was domiciled in Greek because we were not too sure they were going to do it the way we like. We then approached UNDP, and said, look, can you take on this project for us to execute? They said nobody has ever asked them to do so. But if we can get the ministry to transfer the money to them, they will even add catapult funding. And we successfully did that. UNDP now called in FAO, and they are partnering, and they are executing that project. Yeah.
I'll come to national politics now. With the way the country seems to be polarized, it appears that the country is more polarized than it has ever been
before. Yes.
Before now.
Yes.
Are you scared for 2015 in terms of?
I'm not just scared for 2015. I'm scared for tomorrow. Anything can happen in this country anytime. Any mistake, any single mistake made by anybody now could lead to the disappearance of Nigeria.
Do your colleagues feel this tension?
Unfortunately, not a larger percentage of them do. They believe Nigeria will continue to go on. Because if we feel it, then we'll see that we're in an emergency. And then get together and say, ladies and gentlemen, forget even about people for our own safety.
Welcome back to Politics with Kayode. That was Senator Babafemi Ojudu. And we wanted it to run for 10 minutes, but you can't just break away from that interaction. It's quite difficult. When it comes to Nigeria, it's just quite amazing. The kind of questions you'd have to ask with Nigerian lawmakers are quite different from the questions you would ask lawmakers in the UK. Let me get to Honorable Yusuf. How much do you get from your constituent?
Him, and I'm happy he dealt with it. I'm going to really elaborate on it.
Yeah.
My salary monthly is 747,000 naira. What people call jumbo are one, constituency projects that are not paid to me, domiciling ministries. But when people hear this, they say, they're forgetting the fact that this is what those projects they see in the constituency.
Why should
unfortunately,
why should a lawmaker who is meant to be making law be getting involved in digging boreholes?
Unfortunately, that's the irony of it. That's where we are presently. It is done in some other clime. In America, they have it. But because the American system is open, you can really pinpoint to details and what have you. People are not making it. But Nigeria have been used to when you are in power, you are expected to go and steal money. So people just which some of money should be going to their pocket. Of a truth, the constituency project is in the ministry. What you do, you recommend what should be done in your constituency. Then three, the other money is about your running costs. I googled the parliament in Britain, and I checked every of the allowances that are being paid in Nigeria was copied from here. Every of the allowances that are being paid that are copied from here into two. But the fact that the Nigerian system, is popular, it makes more sense to just say somebody in government is a chief. It's more. Nobody wants to check if it's a fact or not. But
the fact, though, is that lawmakers in Nigeria earn more than presidents of some country.
I disagree.
How much do you earn?
I told you my salary is 774,000 naira. The salary of a lawmaker in Britain, a parliamentary, is 1.7 million converted to Nigerian money. I've checked and googled it. It's 74,000 pounds a year. Convert it.
These constituent allowances that are in the ministries, how much are they worth?
For a House of Rep member, 100. For a senator, 250 million.
100 million for House of Rep, 250 million.
And at times, the budget is not executed. So you lose some of those projects. But an average Nigerian on the street assume that money, forgetting that when they come to their constituency, they find borehole, they see transformer. So it is coming from those things.
I'm going to want our producers to just have phone calls coming. Let me ask you this: why can't lawmakers make a law stopping lawmakers from getting involved in constituent allowance? It's distracting, isn't it? So that
of a truth, I have my way. I'll stop it. Why? the burden it pieces on you.
Yeah.
The people, where people attack you, at a point I will not like, got frustrated. I just feel, what am I doing here? I've been living in Abia successfully for almost 17 years after I left school, and I was living well. But whatever I do, before I came into National Assembly, I live in the best neighborhood in Abuja. I drive good car. But whatever I do, that is assumed that it is gotten from from such wealth. So if I have my way, I will. But unfortunately, an average Nigerian, when they vote for you, want to see physical evidence. Until Nigerians are educated enough to know that a lawmaker's responsibility is to really. So we need a lot of social orientation. That is why I sponsored a bill insisting on teaching of ethics and value as a compulsory subject from primary to university level.
Do you have people asking you to pay their house rent?
Home every day. My wife got pregnant yesterday. I have my house roof as again too. We have a responsibility as a government to take care of certain social safety measures on ground. I have a bill that got to second reading in the House of Rep, social security bill.
Okay.
Let's have, because corruption itself is a symptom. Corruption is not the main issue. I serve in a federal ministry, and I know that there are civil servants who genuinely want to do well, want to live right. But when they remember, how do I pay my child's school fees? How do I do it? If certain of these are taken away, I'm convinced that it won't stop corruption, because there's no society without corruption, but it will reduce it.
Okay. Okay, Honorable Yusuf, let's our caller. I've got a caller. Good evening, caller.
Yes, good evening. My name is Ola. How are you, Kayode?
I'm fine, Ola. Ola, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from London.
All right, go ahead, please.
Before I make a comment about what your interview with Senator Ojudu, I would like to know from your guest, what is his take on what the president said in Davos, that the problem of Nigeria is not corruption.
Okay. Okay, Ola has just
No,
let me first say, the president, a member of your party, PDP, has just told the world that in Davos that the problem of Nigeria is not corruption, which is contrary to every standard opinion about Nigeria. What is wrong with the president?
I just said something here, that corruption is a symptom.
Okay, so you disagree
so
with
in
the
context, I say it's a symptom, that the problem is not the corruption, it's a symptom. It's an offshoot of certain problem. So the president, to me, it might be out of context. You will be making a statement. So corruption not being a problem is that why? For now, if you take your fixed social welfare issue, is corruption an issue? If what is going into sponsoring Nigerian students in UK alone is plunged back into Nigerian economy, is corruption an issue? So if it's that contest, I agree with you. If it's not that contest, I don't agree with you.
But is it a PDP party policy to always say corruption is not the problem of Nigeria, when evidently it's the #1 problem facing
when you say it's a PDP party, is corruption, does it have party affiliation? Tell me one party. So the way you say it's a PDP.
But I have a lot of I know most of the other parties are corrupt, but you always get comments from PDP.
Because PDP is the party in government. Okay. Those who are outside government are designed to come into government. You say what you think will make you look good.
Okay, let me see whether Ola, do you agree with that? Ola is gone. Okay, Ola is gone. Now, I'd want to ask you this. Can you tell us the bills you have? Are you one of these lawmakers who just go to collect our money, you never appear, you know, we don't see you, and then you out of how many days in a year, we only see you 3 days, and then you collect our money. What have you done in the house since you got into the House of Reps?
I've been privileged to, I moved the first motion in 7th Assembly when electricity workers were to go on strike. I do the attention of the House into it. House intervened. I will save the nation from the blackout. When Celtic workers were sacked, 3,000 plus, I brought it to the floor of the House. We intervened. We got them back job. I think the most important position in National Assembly, the House of Rep, the 7th Assembly so far, was the subsidy issue. Okay. I moved the motion on subsidy on that 8 January 2012. I did. Several. See, you must realize
that motion you moved, if I might come in, was actually contrary to your party's position and the president's position.
I don't think we must realize is that as it is now, we are unfortunate that there is no much of party decision taken about issues yet. For what you read about the opposition, to me, is split to the gallery. I try to praise. We saw that and looked at it as a house. But we must come to certain time that when you are in the House of Rep, if it's possible, it should be Nigerians first. Okay. The welfare of Nigerians first. So when we saw that, we look at it. Oh, have we deliberated on this enough? I've taken position as a party. We say no. And let me tell you something. I'm an economist. I am not opposed to subsidy removal. You do not subsidize corruption. You don't subsidize consumption. You subsidize production. However, you don't take off the only thing Nigerians get from government on 1st of January. You give them something in return. Do you have buses? Do you have train working? Do you have those things on ground? If you have those things, you take subsidy off. Okay. Yes.
Okay, I'll let you. I've got another caller on the line. Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mohammed.
Sorry?
My name is Victor.
Okay, go ahead, Victor.
I want to speak to the gentleman,
Honorable Yusuf,
said that corruption is not a problem in Nigeria.
Okay.
Just listening to different comments, by, various media about the prevalent problem in Nigeria, and he's having the effrontery to say that corruption is not a problem.
No, you are getting me wrong. You are getting me wrong. I didn't say corruption is not a problem in Nigeria. I said that corruption is a symptom of the problem that we have in Nigeria. That if we fix certain things, that corruption will be reduced. I didn't say corruption is not a problem.
Did you get that, Victor?
Excuse me, sir. You were trying to defend the statement credited to the president by the presenter. And he said, when he was questioned about the problem in Nigeria, he said that corruption is not a problem. And you were trying to stand in for him. That goes to show the level of cover-up. And for what you said earlier in the introduction of yourself, that you are an activist while you were in school. If people like you who were activists in school and suddenly have gotten to government and now been corrupted, you are not trying to change your activity to dance to the tune of the government. That shows you.
You know, one thing I come to realize is that you are an activist by a Nigerian standard if you disagree with government every time. But when an activist is holding on to a position you are convinced is right. So the fact that you think that I am trying to cover the president, that does not make me an activist. That's why I don't even call myself a comrade. Because the so-called comrade, I call them come and raid. They raid. They are not comrade. So what I'm trying to say, I didn't listen to the president. I was not there. I was just told here. I say, if it's in that context, I say, I agree. I say, if it's not in that context, I don't agree with it. So what I'm trying to say, I'm not only before the president. If he has just said corruption is not a problem, it's wrong. But if it is in the context of what...
Okay, that point is made. Now, let me ask you this question. What is the difference between your political party, the PDP, and the APC, which is the leading opposition party now? And now, how did you feel now being a member of a minority party in the House of Representatives?
That, I beg to disagree with you. I'm not a member of a minority party.
But the APC there are lots of people who decamp to the APC. And
Thank you very much. Nigerian Constitution, Section 68. 1G, gave condition under which you can cross carpet. If your party has crisis, there's division in your party. There was some people who were not happy about PDP issue. They went to court because there's no division. Court of competent jurisdiction. So there's no division in the PDP. 2, if a party merged, like you contested election under ACN, you are now APC, you don't feel like going to APC. The Constitution allow you. So once you cross without those things being met, you vacate your seat.
Okay, before
so the party is saying, no, you cannot cross. If you are cross, vacate your seat. So they went to court. Court is saying, okay, let's look into this. So if a matter is in court.
Why? Okay, I'll let Danny come in. Danny, good evening. Good evening. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Manchester.
Okay, go ahead, please.
First of all, I have to commend you for bringing for being a pivot of all political issues in Nigeria.
Thanks.
I really thank you. I want to speak with the Honorable here. Good evening to you, Honorable.
Good evening, sir.
I agree with you 90% that corruption is not the main problem in Nigeria. But so many people will be hard to convince otherwise. if we take away certain issues and we get some things right in Nigeria, corruption will be reduced to the barest minimum. There is no country, there is no nation, there is no society that is free of corruption, one way or the other. But there are certain fundamental things that need to be done, that needed to be done in Nigeria. Until they are done, we will not have peace, and we will always see corruption as the main endemic facing us there. First and foremost, sir, I recollect you mentioned that you sponsored the bill about subsidy, that before you take away subsidy from Nigerians on the 1st of January, you need to give them palliative, bring about palliative measures that will help them, so that it will cushion the effect.
And we did itemize this palliative.
Okay, Victor, Victor and the lawmaker now.
Palliative measures, so that the Nigerians will rather see those things that hello, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that even before we start feeling the pains of subsidy removal, the palliatives have come in, so that you have their provisions there.
Let me just come in there, Victor.
What issue, sir?
Let me come in there, Victor. To go maybe mile or 2 miles here, if I'm going in the cab, I might pay up to £10. A bus will take me maybe 3 or 4 pounds. So Nigerians do not have such alternative.
Okay, before we take the next clip, P, 50 billion naira is missing. The so-called buses that are meant to be palliative for the Nigerian people are nowhere to be found. Why are lawmakers keeping quiet on these issues?
Unfortunately, lawmakers are not keeping quiet. However, we have not done enough on P. Last year, I know lawmakers refused to give approval for P to spend money from March last year. So I know in 2014 budget now under consideration, it will come up again. That's what I'm saying. Until we have the basic rules, don't break the traffic, stay on queue. Until we begin to observe those things,
basic rules.
Until we cannot tackle the big issues. So somebody is somewhere who is not a politician, who is just a bureaucrat, a civil servant, is sitting on those billions, and the attention is on the politicians. So the man is hidden somewhere, stealing those money.
Okay, I would want us to have the concluding part of my interview with Senator Ojudu, and this is where Honorable Yusuf would be able, Teejay would be able to come in, and because the second part is quite polarized, it's quite about PDP, APC. Just take a look at what Senator Ojudu had to say on the election coming up in Ekiti.
Even when it is going to fall, we find a way of pulling it back.
But it might be right, though, because
that is playing with faith.
But it might be right, because in the sense that if the ruling elites are the one benefiting from the country, they can find a way of retrieving it from.
By the time we come, that would be too late for us to retrieve the country.
Now let's come to the politics of Ekiti State. Your name has been mentioned several times as one of the reasons for the crisis within the APC. With Bamidele Okpeyemi now wanting to run as governor, and he feels, he should be the one sitting. Where do you stand in this crisis?
Well, for me, he has the right to run, and I wish him good luck. But what I can still tell the world is that Okpeyemi will not acquire up to 10% of the votes in Ekiti State come 2014. Honestly, I mean, I'm not talking now as a politician. I'm talking as a journalist who can pick up the indices and analyze and go around and see the way things are, as I would have done when I was doing.
Well, how come your party couldn't manage this crisis before?
No, Okpeyemi has made up his mind long ago. It is not just now. That he has made his mind up long ago. I'll give you an instance. When Okpeyemi was being inaugurated, Okpeyemi turned to a friend of mine and said, hey, will this boy be able to do this thing? And I saw grain. That was great, like grain in his eyes. And that friend told him, look, he will do it, he will all cooperate with him.
So how do you assess the present governor of the state?
Of course, he has done well. You cannot say 100%. Nobody can, with the little money available, and the state our people are in, you are not able to do 100%. But again, his government has been a game changer. Things have changed here. Come on the streets of Ekiti, go travel around. I've traveled around Nigeria. Even people that are taking 40 billion a month, as opposed to our less than 2.5 billion a month. The kind of development I've seen, I have not seen in those places. So for me, look, the capital was in the past like a rural rural place. The roads were very bad. The roads were very bad. Things in 1960, as at 3-4 years ago, there was no classroom with window panes in that school. All the floors of the classroom were having portals and all that. But those schools today have been renovated across Ekiti. You know, anywhere you drive to in Ekiti, hardly will you see an motorable road. That is going on.
How come
but
people...
one change that has taken place, which is significant. Prior to now, people have shown contempt to us as Ekiti people. We are bush people. We cannot, manage relationships. We are this, we are that. There is a lot of rebranding that has taken place in Ekiti by the kind of people we now have that are managing our affairs. And I'm so glad about that, because one Elini sin is on Lojo. The way you are saying is the way people relate with you. Now nobody will say, oh, I have an Ekiti governor who is a thug. I have an Ekiti governor who cannot even speak English, or who is dirty, who cannot relate with other Nigerians, and all of that. No. Now we have people who are well educated, who are sophisticated, who are among some of the best in the world. And they are doing things in a manner that is making us proud.
Well, some of the arguments I've heard on the streets from quite a number of people is that, yes, he's done the roads, he's doing well, they feel okay that he's doing his job. But he doesn't relate with the people. He doesn't come down to their level.
No, we cannot all be populists.
Fayose will come,
and go to the river park and drink and take local gin with the people. If you have not been used to taking local gin, because you are now a politician, we now go and start taking Igbo or local gin. He knows, he's focused, he knows what he wants to do. He has assessed the problem of the people. He believes that he can solve those problems without having to go to the extent of going to drink local gin at the motor park, that kind of thing. And that does not solve any problem. That I'm around, eating corn and this thing on the street with you does not mean I love you more than the person who is swatting in his office, trying to find solution to your problem. I would not want that we are remembering today, after so many years that he had been in government, never went to motor park to go and drink Ogugoro. He was not a populist, mind you, but he was able to put himself in the heart of the people by identifying what problems they face and sitting up day and night working at the solutions to those problems. You may not be popular with people now, but they will remember you years to come, that it was when you were there that you changed their life for good.
What if I tell you that the reason you're staunchly supporting Governor Fayemi now is so that you're positioning yourself to be governor after his name?
No. I mean, I was actively one of the people who saw that he's capable of what he's doing now and went to mobilize him to come and do what he's doing. It is not just an individual. Again, it's about a movement, that, okay, we want a change. Okay, who among us at this present time can best lead that move to bring about a change? And that's what he has done. Okay, and I'm proud of him for that. It's not that I'm not critical of him in some areas, in certain areas. But again, in my estimation, he has done well enough within the limits of the resources available to him.
Okay, Lee, apart from the challenge from Okoyemi Bamidele, yeah, you're welcome back. Well, it's a pity we don't have enough time, but that was Senator Babafemi Ojudu. And before we take the next call, just to remind you that Governor Rauf Aregbesola of Osun State is going to be live here in the studio tomorrow to take your phone calls, answer your questions, and then we would have to grill him. This is England, it's unlimited. You can ask anything. But let's go back to today's topic. Gilbert, good evening, Gilbert. I hope we still have Gilbert on the line. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. Where are you calling from, Gilbert?
I'm calling from Wales.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay. I just want to add my voice on the program, and I also want to thank the Honorable for being on the program today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and my own contribution is about corruption, and when we talked about the President made a statement that corruption is not, our first problem. I think I want to agree on that, and also want to say that sometimes when we talk about corruption, we seem to see as if corruption is, something that is somewhere and we are seeing it. But some people will say that monster called corruption. I think I disagree with this a lot. Yeah. This is because some of the things happening in Nigeria, we are the ones doing those things. Okay? Because if somebody stops doing something will not happen.
Yeah.
All right? And sometimes when we see people that are voted into office, then we see them as the problems of Nigeria. Then we say Nigeria's problem is leadership. Then if you want to look about this, if since 1960 we are having leaders upon leaders today, then all these leaders have been bad leaders.
Okay, I would have to stop you there, Gilbert. I'm so sorry because we have limited time. Corruption, is it that it's just one monster out there, or it's a Nigerian thing?
Corruption is everywhere.
Okay.
Corruption becomes an issue in Nigeria because of the slow pace of development. Okay. Because the citizens of the country are not getting their due. So it becomes a cliche for those who want power to talk about the monster corruption and what have you. He is there. It's endemic. Nobody's contesting that. However, fix the roads. Okay. Let the light work. Let me give you a scenario.
We have in 30 seconds.
A NEPA staff somewhere was talking about this politician not bringing transformer. And people were supporting him. And I walked in there. Budget is being made from NEPA to buy transformer every year. Politician bring transformer for you.
Okay.
Where is the money going into?
Honorable Teejay Yusuf, it's good to have you in the studio. It's your program on Ben Television. Thanks to Alex Kayode for providing this platform to Nigerians in the UK and in diaspora and Nigerians back home. We want to thank Tony, my producer. We want to thank the viewers. You made this show possible. I mean, it's the selflessness of viewers like you that we're able to come here every Thursday to give you a good show. Ngozi, Gail, Tony, Victor, Ayo, and every other people that has made this possible. It's good night. We'll see you tomorrow for a special edition. I'll be here with Governor Aregbesola live in the studio tomorrow, and we want you all to call in. And let's give him a run for his money. We're not in Nigeria. We're free to say our mind. Good night, and I'll see you tomorrow, and then we'll see you again next Thursday for Politics with KO. Thank you, and God bless.
Team UK versus Team Nigeria. This is a night where top comedians and DJs from the UK will go head to head with comedians and DJs from Nigeria. Representing the UK, your host will be the most